We are live. No, we are not live. I keep doing that because all I do is record the podcast. We are not live, but we are recording with Ian Kimber, director, or give me your full title because it's a long one on your Instagram.
Yeah, so I am the head of global racing programs for Triumph Motorcycles.
There you go. And you said that in a way that I could have never said it in a better accent for Triumph. But we have Ian Kimber on to just kind of give us a little bit of the backstory of how you kind of came into the brand, how you've kind of developed the brand, and you guys changing the outlook that I think of motocross forever when you guys are coming in. And I couldn't even tell you the last time a motorcycle brand has came into the industry, like this. I mean, it hasn't really been done in recent memory that I can think of. You guys have a ton of people on board. But I'm really wanting to get the viewers at home to know a little bit more about you and your role in the company, kind of how you came to this role, and then we'll jump into the good questions. But the floor is yours, my friend.
Yeah, no worries. Appreciate it. Well, yeah, thanks very much for having us on. I think, I know it's taken a while to get to this point, but
I didn't want to say it.
We've finally managed to hook it up, so that's good. So I've actually worked for Triumph for a little over 21 years now. So I started with them in 2003, fresh out of university, and I'd done a master's in mechanical engineering. And I kind of finished my engineering degree, and my folks were like, "Oh, you should maybe think about applying for some jobs." And I was like, "Well, who would I really like to work for?" I rode street bikes, so I was kind of like, "Oh, well, I'll send my CV off," and the kind of rest is history, I guess. So I started in the design department as design engineer in 2003. I've been lucky enough to work on the majority of bikes that we've produced in one aspect or another. I worked on our Bonneville range. I moved to work on the 2012 Speed Triple. And then I headed up a small design team that looked after kind of special editions and derivatives and things like that. So it was pretty cool, just a good way to school new engineers. And then my boss at the time, he decided to emigrate to Australia, and that opened up his position, which was leading the project for the Bonneville Bobber. So from a chassis perspective, I ran the project for the Bonneville Bobber. Great team of guys working with me, and they really kind of took the lead on it, and the company let us try, push it as hard as we could to make it as authentic as possible. And then when the Bobber project finished, we did a couple of smaller projects while we were waiting for a big one to come along. One of them was the Moto 2 limited edition Daytona, 765 limited edition Daytona. Yeah. And at the same time, our chief product officer, Steve Sargent, was starting to instigate what was the groundwork for the off-road product. And Steve kind of approached me and said, how'd you fancy coming and doing some work in product strategy? So I moved over to his team and worked with him. I was 50-50 between design and product strategy. And that was the start of the off-road. And between Steve and myself, we built it from business case concept, if you like, to check that. I mean, it sounds very... sounds really stale and cold-hearted, but you've got to make sure the money's going to, it's got to pay for itself at the end of the day. There was a lot of risk in there, I would say, that, but calculated risk. There's been previous examples of people coming into off-road and it not working out for them. So we knew what we had to do, and we knew how we had to go about it, which is really kind of where our taglines come from. It's not just a marketing tagline, but we are all in, We're 100% committed to what we need to do and what we need to deliver in terms of not just, obviously we launched with the 250. We've just brought the 450 RC out as well. We're not being shy about it. We've got a range of enduros. Johnny's just raced the Super Enduro in Poland tonight. That's what I've been watching tonight. So You know, we are all in and making sure that we're delivering everything we can to show everyone that we're committed.
Yeah. And that's what I think a lot of people got lost on, is when you guys were first announcing the bike and everything, the 250, is you guys were catching a lot of flack of doing it the way that you guys did, a little bit more delayed. I was actually a defender of it. And the reason being is because you can only launch a brand one time. You know what I mean? It's not like you guys are going to have 10 tries at this. It's going to be once and that's it. And so I'm like, for me, is you guys have to do it the way that you guys want to do it, in the right way, making sure everything's crossed, dotted, all that kind of stuff. I mean, but is that something that you guys saw on your end too, where you guys were kind of not catching flack or heat, but there was like a little bit of blowback because of how long maybe the bike was taken to get announced?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, you know, the whole program took us slightly longer than we anticipated, you know, but that's design and development. Sometimes, you know, you need to work on things and they take a little bit longer. But yeah, we noticed with the rollout, it was we caught some flack for it. It was one way of doing it. You know, I mean, there's two ways you can look at it: develop in public and let everyone see it before it comes out, or we managed to keep it all secret right up until, you know, the final kind of thing. And we're still amazed. I mean, I've never known a segment of the motorcycle industry that news travels so fast in.
Yes.
You know, so I think we're amazed that we kept it quiet for so long. But it was, you know, down to the dedication of the design team, the testing team, the race teams, private tracks, lockdown facilities, just to make sure that we were really keeping it as quiet as we possibly could.
Yeah. And I remember.
So go on. Sorry.
No, it's okay. Sorry I cut you off, but I remember before you guys fully announced everything, I was with Ivan Tedesco somewhere, and it was before you guys publicly, you know, put out the bike and everything. And I remember being like, let me see a photo, you know, like, let me see one. And he was like, nope. He's like, nope, not happening. I'm like, I don't know what you got him to sign, but he's like, you ain't seeing nothing. He goes, I can tell you it's black. And I'm like, yeah, it's, the whole internet knows it is, you know, like we saw those pieces. And but you guys really did do a good job, because in this world, it's kind of hard, like you were saying, to keep things under wraps and to be able to like really have a launch, because when you guys announced your bike, it seemed more shared by the public. Like there's a lot more people that were like really excited about it, and I would see stuff on social media, and it launched pretty hard when you guys finally put it out there, you know. And it seemed to me, once the bike was actually put out there, the reaction was very positive, you know. And that's the kind of gist I get from it.
Yeah, I think I mean, it's been really nice how the moto market has accepted us, I think, you know, especially for our first product. But we've worked really hard at it to make sure that we've done our homework. We know what we wanted to produce. We knew the spec that we needed to carry on the bike. We knew what brands people associated with and liked, and, you know, all those kinds of things. But then also from understanding where the market was in terms of bikes and riding and everything like that too. So we knew what we needed to release. The press launch itself went incredibly well. I think the group tests for a first-year product have gone incredibly well as well. There's always going to be areas to evolve, you know, for sure. And to think that we'd come out and take top spot in group tests in year one, being in a new market, new segment, new everything, we'd be naive if we thought we were going to do that. You can always hope. But
yeah,
I think
you don't want to
the acceptance of the market is good.
Yeah, you don't want to finish like, hey, if I'm in the middle at the very launch, that's a very good thing, you know. Like, and obviously, like the thing, you want to be top, but to be able to at least be somewhat, you know, competitive, you're like, all right, we're on to something here, you know. And that's a good starting point, because it's going to develop and evolve. So
yeah, absolutely, you know. And we've always said that we think the best thing with our bike is actually the window of adjustability on the chassis is really big. So we know that if the bike is in the ballpark for the majority of people, then they're going to be able to find that sweet spot. You know, they're going to be able to take it and they're going to be able to tune it. And obviously running the KYB suspension that people find much easier to tune anyway than compared to, say, an air system or something like, you know, the KYB coil system anyway. But compared to an air system, we know we've got a bike that the majority of people who ride, you know, are going to find the ability to get there and get comfortable on it. And the same things happened on the 250 and on the 450. You know, it's very much the same kind of tack we've taken on both of them, to be honest.
Yeah, and it seemed the sound, because I've only seen the 250s in public, right? And the 250 has a sound to it. And I remember for a long time there was yes, and there was a blue bike out there that kind of had that as well. They kind of had like a notorious sound to them. And I remember the first time Triumph was rolling around, I'm like, oh, they're different. You know, like the motors, it just kind of has a different tone to it, and it has like a it's just something that I haven't really heard before. I mean, now I'm getting more used to it because I see more and more Triumphs out at the track. But it was, and then sitting on it, I've only sat on one and rode it around like the parking lot. And then 5 minutes later, I snapped my collarbone. So I didn't get a chance to ride it. But it has a lot of things, like what you're saying is there's a lot of good things for it, because I'm 6'2", 220 pounds. I don't know what that is in your European.
6'2" is the same as me. I'm lost on the weights, but
all right. So yeah, the weights we don't need to worry about, but 6 foot 2 inches. Yeah. But I sat on it. I felt comfortable, you know, like I didn't. And I think that goes along to the development that you guys went into it. I think I mean, I know that you guys have some people that are on record that help you test. And then some people that are, you know, not even necessarily off record, but just aren't normally on camera seen doing that kind of stuff. But you guys have like Mike Brown, you guys have Ricky Carmichael, you guys have Ivan Tedesco, and then a few others, you know, that help you develop this bike. But you're getting a range of so many different people that is good. And I think you guys are able to show that a little bit more, because you guys are building this brand from, or not the brand, but this vertical, whatever you want to call it, the dirt bikes, the off-road program. You guys are building that from the ground up. And so you're able to show that a little bit more. I'm sure others have this as well, but you guys are able to show kind of like different people that are involved and all that kind of stuff. And I think it's pretty cool and it's unique for sure.
I think the thing is, you know, we're going up against brands who have been in this space for 30, 40, 50 years. Maybe people don't know, but, you know, Triumph built dirt bikes a long time ago, you know, the 60s, and desert sleds, and Steve McQueen and Bud Atkins. And, you know, we've got a big history in dirt, but there's been a long time where we've not been in it. So we need to ensure that we've got credibility when we come into a market. And that credibility comes from the people who are associated with the program and giving their input and their knowledge into that program. I mean, you know, when we announced Ricky, there was a lot of people who were kind of naysaying that he's just a face. You know, we've just bought a name and he sold himself out, and, you know, blah, blah, blah. But so when the project kicked off, our test and development team were at the goat farm when COVID kicked off. And I mean, everyone likes to forget about that time, but if they were they flew out like 3 days before America shut down.
Yeah.
You know, so, and that was at the goat farm testing with Ricky and other people as well. So, you know, he's not just a face of the project. He's bringing in his knowledge. Is he as fast as the top guys anymore? No. But I mean, he can still swing his leg over a bike and throw it about better than most people.
It's the GOAT.
You know, and then like you say, yeah, exactly, he's the GOAT, you know. But then we've got everyone from our racers that we've got at the moment right the way through to, you know, your kind of amateur club level riders, the guys in the design department. A lot of them ride, they swing their leg over the bike, they give their feedback. It's all valid. It's somewhere on the scale. Yeah. You know, so you have to make sure. We're not selling bikes to the likes of Ricky at the end of the day. We're generally selling bikes to your club level, you know, vets.
Yeah, like myself. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's
Well, I don't know. You haven't ordered one yet, so.
Well, dude, okay. Listen, I didn't even know you guys were announcing a 450 until like 2 weeks ago, my man. Like, so
Yeah.
I could have taken a shot at there, but I'm not going to. I'm going to refrain from that. My English friend is, but I am interested to see, because I know a few people that have them on order, and then somebody randomly wrote me the other day and was like, "Hey, would you want to be the first one in California to get one?" But it was like a dealership or something like that. I'll send it to you who it was.
Mm.
And I kind of laughed at that. I'm like, okay, yeah, I don't know why they wrote me that, but I'm like, okay, yeah, sure. But back up a little bit. So how is it working with Ricky and Ivan as development guys? I mean, because it seems like they were pretty hands-on. I don't know, maybe Ivan, he comes from that testing world a little bit more when he was with Pro Circuit and Kawasaki and stuff. And I'm sure he has like
Yeah.
that world a little bit better. I mean, he's a little bit more experienced in that world.
Yeah.
How has it been working with those guys as, coming up, they're athletes, they're professionals, especially Ricky being who Ricky is. How is that kind of transition in the short time that you guys have been working together?
We've got, I think everyone's got a really good relationship. Everyone's got the same kind of mentality. Everyone works hard, but everyone's on the same kind of level, I think, as well. The attitudes are right. If they weren't, they wouldn't be working with us at the end of the day. You've got to have that. Any team has to be cohesive to get the best out of something that you're doing. You've all got to be able to work together. You might not always pull in the same direction, but you have to be able to stand there and listen to points of view and perspective, whether that be from a riding perspective, from a design perspective, from a business perspective, as to whether something, all pulls together. You're absolutely right. Tedesco came in and he's got so much knowledge from his time working with PC and developing those bikes for the race program. He's transitioned from being that racer to being the test guy. So he's used to working through, well, let's change the yokes, let's change the offset, let's change the pull through on the forks, and that step by step, and the ABA, and making sure it's a grind at the end of the day. You've got to work through all those changes to understand whether you're pushing in the right direction. And then that comes down to the level of feedback as well. You work with certain people and you hear their feedback and you can understand exactly what they're saying, or they can describe, if they can get the words out to be able to describe to you what they're feeling on the bike, then hopefully the engineers can translate that back into the changes that they need to make on the motorcycle.
Yeah. And Ivan is probably one of the best. I mean, we were riding last weekend together, and he comes back and he literally gave me feedback about the track that was in my head. I just couldn't unlock, and you could tell like, okay, this is why he does what he does. And he's a professional. I get 100%. It, but yeah. Okay. So the other thing that
I think the other thing is, sorry, just,
yeah.
I was going to say the other thing on that, though, is that, not all fast racers make good development riders. Some fast racers can just ride fast, and you can put them on anything and they can ride it, they can ride around problems, but having that ability to critically analyze it whilst you're riding around a track flat out, or, hitting the face of a jump or railing a berm, or whatever it is, whatever's going on the track, to be able to assess, well, the suspension was doing this, or it's not quite hooking up properly, to be able to have that. And like you say, then be able to stop and articulate that to someone. That's where the value comes in on a really good test rider. Clement de Salle in Europe is exactly the same as well.
Yeah,
exactly the same.
1,000%. And that is very true, and something that I think a lot of people kind of forget about. So on the race team, I mean, you guys have successfully MXGP, right? You guys have AMA Supercross, motocross. And a lot of the people that are going to watch this, they like the MXGPs, but they're really going to want to know about Supercross. They're going to want to go, how was it in your guys' opinion? Obviously, it can always go better. Unless you're winning every single race, it can always go better. But how is that learning curve, and what are some of the things that you guys kind of take away it going forward, and we'll get to the news. We'll get to the other big news that came with the team here. But how was that kind of transition for you guys, and what have you guys kind of learned, and some of the things that you're happy with, and some of the things that maybe you wish could have gone better when it comes to like the Supercross and motocross team?
I mean, learning curve is probably an understatement. It's like jumping off a cliff sometimes. I think, again, though, it goes to surrounding ourselves with the best in the industry. Scuba, Dudley, Dave, they've all got an incredible amount of knowledge within that industry to be able to take that and translate it into the bikes. I think the biggest thing is that we went into it with no data.
Yeah.
So we start from scratch. We've never been to a track before. Okay, the guys have been with their other teams, but it doesn't mean it's the same on our bike. So every week we're there and we're learning, and the guys were just grinding away to make sure that they were putting the changes in or trying to understand if we were seeing something on the bike. Well, why were we seeing that on the bike? Luckily, the system that we were running allowed us to make sure that we could download data as we were going. The guys in the UK were real time with the guys in the US as well. So they were up at 2 o'clock in the morning, sometimes going through data to make sure that we were feeding back and things. I mean, it's been a lot, in that first year. We've taken on a facility, we've built a workshop, we've got the team up and running, we've taken on new riders. Everything we've done within that first year is firsts, be it from the rider contracts or the sponsorship contracts or the getting the bikes prepped and ready, or this is the first time we've gone factory racing at this level. We've done road racing for a number of years, but this has been completely different. And I think it is fair to say that the success has been there on both sides of the pond. I think, I mean, Jalik's finishes, his second best finish in Supercross, his best finish he's had in motocross. He got a heat race win in Supercross. He got a podium in the outdoors. The MXGP guys, Mikkel finished 5th overall. We didn't have a single Japanese manufacturer ahead of us in the standings. Camden finished 9th. He missed 6 races through injury. So actually the way that the teams have done it in terms of taking a new bike, brand new, box fresh, never been done before, and taking that and building it to a competitive bike I think it's been an incredible year for us. Yeah. If you had asked me that question last year, would I be sitting here talking about the results that we've had, I would have said you were mad, probably. Obviously, we all hope, we dream. But.
Yeah, I would agree 100%, especially Jalik. I mean, he's surprised me, and it was somebody that I've had confidence in, but he's such a good kid. And just normal human, which is really good. And it's kind of hard to come around in this industry, especially when it comes to riders. I mean, some of them, their heads are so big. Some of them, they don't believe in themselves as much. Some of them believe in themselves too much, I mean, all over the place. But Jalik is such a good kid, and he's the perfect rider to, especially having your first years. I mean, he's such a good rider. I mean, and now you guys have even more people, Jordan Smith, and Styles Robinson. I mean, I'm rooting for one guy more than anybody. If there is one guy that somebody said, who do you want to succeed more than anybody else in the entire sport? It's Austin Forkner. He is one of the best guys. It's just one of those things where what he's had to go through his whole life and his whole career. And I am rooting for him so much to succeed this year. He's definitely somebody that deserves.
I'm rooting for all of them, but he's I think, I mean, let's touch on Jalik. I mean, what a great kid, I mean, I say kid, he's not a kid anymore, but
he's a kid, kind of a kid.
But he grafts so hard, and he turned up and he represented it. When we went through some tough times last year, He turned up, he represented, he pushed, the man, he was fast out of the gate as well, and that race in Philly, I don't think I've screamed at my television so much. It was just incredible. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to see what he can do next year. We've obviously been developing the bike further, so we'll come out swinging again, hopefully. And then Styles, great kid. I'm again, really looking forward to seeing what he can do. Jordan, he's going to be exciting for sure. And then Austin, I think, Matt, I would say everyone thought he was in the running for it last year until he had his big crash. And then the year before was another unlucky year with that first corner pileup, So same as you, I'm rooting for him. I think I'd say we've got one of the strongest lineups this year.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you do.
I think it's going to be a great 250 lineup.
Yeah. You definitely have a lineup that can compete for wins. And I mean, that would be pretty damn cool and fast for a brand to get a win like that. They're at that soon, that early. I mean, I think when KTM first got serious with it, I can't remember when. I think it was Roxton that got the first one. I think, I don't know, I could be wrong, but it took a while, and it wasn't like something that happens overnight. And so for you guys to be able to even be in that conversation means you guys are going in the right direction. So yeah, it should be kind of interesting. So on that note, for this year, you guys have a new addition to, I would say, like the general manager role that I wrote you when that news dropped. I wrote you a DM and I was like, dude, you got a good one. But with Coker joining the crew, and he's not, and he actually went on a couple podcasts and explained this. He's not coming in as like a team manager. He's not doing a lateral move, is what is in his words. It's not a lateral move. This is a full-on promotion and doing something that is going to be in charge of an entire like division. And it comes to not just the racing. It like that's a very good pickup for you guys too.
Yeah, I mean, look, the experience that he's got in the teams that he's run previously and the success that he's had in those teams as well. I think I'm super stoked that he's coming on board, and he's just bringing that knowledge to us to help us to be able to grow the brand and do better, basically, which is what we always want to do, right? We always want to keep moving and progressing and do better. It's a great opportunity for him. Scuba's still going to run the team. He's still going to be the team manager, and he's going to be there and make sure that the team are operating and turning up to the races and doing the right things. And then, Jeremy's supporting him with that for sure. But he's then also going to work with, so Jeremy's coming as our general manager for Triumph Racing America. He'll be working with Zach Lurie, who we've got on board, who's our US racing manager, helping build out our contingency program, building up an amateur program, making sure we've got a funnel of athletes coming through, because we don't have the 50s, 65s, 85s, 125s. So we've got to have that. We've got to have those guys building that program and spotting riders who are going to be the new future talent for us coming through. Growing athletes in the sport is important to us. Taking people and building them with the program is important to us. So, and then equally, we've got to look at, as we roll out enduro models or dual sport models, we've got to look at, well, what are we doing with GNCC? Or we've got to look at, well, what are we going to do with arena cross? Johnny will come over. He'll be back over at the end of the year and do the full enduro cross series for us as well. So we've got all these aspects to Triumph Racing in America that we've got to look at and see. Well, we at least start planning a strategy for as we move forward. So Jeremy will help with all of that. He's going to be a great addition to the team for sure.
Oh yeah. Yeah, you definitely should be proud of that one. So you're coming over A1. You'll be over here for A1?
Yeah. Yeah, I'll be back for A1. Yeah.
What happened last time you tried coming to a race out here?
Didn't go so well.
Dude,
didn't go so well.
Was that washboard?
Well, no. So actually, Yeah, so we tried to come for Washougal, and we got caught up in the whatever the problem was with the Microsoft systems.
Whatever happened where everything shut down. Yeah.
So we'd been over for a couple of days before. We'd been to the facility and done some stuff with the guys there, and then we went and visited some dealerships. So it was myself and Steve Sargent, and then we got up in the morning when we were supposed to go to the airport, and I looked at the news and I was like, man, we need to get to the airport now.
Yeah.
We got to the airport and we got through security, massive security views. So Atlanta, obviously Delta Hub, probably the worst place you wanted to be for it. And then, then we basically spent 14 hours in the airport. Didn't make it to Washougal. Booked a flight at lunchtime and waited till that came in and flew back to England.
Yeah,
and then we were supposed to fly out to Dallas.
Yeah,
we were supposed to come to Dallas for the Super Motocross. Angelique obviously had his big off, so we didn't make it back to Dallas either. So I'm hoping I'm not like a bad luck omen.
I know
we'll actually get there, But A1 will be awesome.
Yeah,
first West Coast race for the brand. Another step forward.
That's all I was going to say. And A1 is the classic. It's A1. It's Anaheim, like in Southern California moto. Whether it's not the same as it used to be, but the sport grew here, and so I'm in California. So the sport is what it is because of everything that happened on the West Coast. And so to be able to see you guys as part of that, and I will see you there, and I will be on the floor seeing you there. And I won't have to worry about like being in the stands and all that stuff. So I'll be one of the little media scrum running around in there. And so I'll actually be able to meet for the first time, which would be really cool. Because we've been talking. We've been talking, and we'll just be able to, because I've known you for I don't even know how long, like say with Ivan, like I've known Ivan for a while.
We announced Ivan, wasn't it? Yeah.
It had to have been. Yeah. And then I think that's how I got connected.
It's got to be like 2 years ago. And I think, because you did the photos for Ivan. And I think I just shot you a DM and said, thanks very much for doing them. Really appreciate it. And we've just stayed in touch ever since then.
Yep. Yeah.
So, I mean, it's only taken two years to get me on the podcast, but, better late than never.
Wasn't my fault. But here's, so no. I guess I should have prefaced this with this is you're in England, right? Are you in the UK or where? Yeah. So like, it's not like you're 10 minutes away, you know what I mean? So there's some time differences, obviously right now it's nighttime.
Yeah, I mean, it's 10:30 at night now. So
yeah, exactly. So, I mean, you're doing me a huge favor. I trust me. So the 450, that is something, that's what I want to kind of in on, that is something that I think is what a lot of people are waiting on, is because there's a lot of 250 riders, don't get me wrong. But when you want to hit the vet riders, like all that stuff, they want the 450. Some of them want a 350, who knows what it is, but they want something that's a little bit bigger than the 250. How do you foresee that kind of rolling out? And what is some of the early feedback that you've kind of gotten on it now that you guys kind of had like your media day, or not media day, but like your media ride and stuff like that, and announced it to the public? How's that been?
Yeah, really good. So, I mean, we've launched it as an RC edition. So, in kind of just to honor his involvement with the project, I guess. So it comes with a few special parts on it and some of the stuff that Ricky's chosen and his graphics that we worked on it with him. The launch went really well. We launched it at our facility, which I think was probably a nice thing for the media and a bit different. It's not very often maybe they get the opportunity to ride at a manufacturer's facility. And the dirt in Georgia's really good as well. So it made for a really nice launch. Everyone comments on the engine were really good, super tractable. Chassis is the same chassis as the 250 pretty much, with some modifications to the suspension. So generally the feedback has been as per the 250 and a super successful launch. bikes will start rolling out to dealerships soon enough. Obviously, we've got to meet all the AMA homologation requirements anyway. So just because we're not racing 450 next year, you know, I mean, everyone's been kind of going, well, hang on a minute. You know, I thought they weren't going 450 racing because they didn't have a 450. But there's a big difference to getting a production 450 ready to getting a 450 ready to go away. We can't roll it out of the box and go and compete with all the other manufacturers in the way that we need to compete with the other manufacturers. So the bike will make it through to the dealerships at the early part of next year. We are still looking to homologate it. So if someone else wants to pick it up and go race it, they can pick it up and go and race it. It just won't be us next year.
Yeah. Yeah. So you could have a team that somebody is doing that where it's like a satellite team or whatever. That'd be kind of cool. So you want to announce that you're having a 450 team, right? I could get you on the break.
Yeah, we will. So we will 26. We will do 450s for sure. Just not next year.
Yeah. So, but yeah,
no, which is a shame. You know, but you've got to do things in the right way at the end of the day.
Yeah, I don't, like I said, do it the right way. You only have one shot at this. You're not going to be able to redo it. So do it right. You know.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think that's a good kind of overlay of everything that you guys have kind of done at Triumph. I'm excited. I'm going to try and get more and more people from the brand. Like I told Ivan, I want to get him in for a podcast or do a tailgate talk or something like that. He's not the biggest camera friendly guy. He's kind of shy, as you know. Yeah. But I want to get in, you know, some people throughout the season, and I'm excited to see the growth of the 250 team. I really do have high expectations for the team. I'm excited to see the 450 and see all that stuff. And it's really cool to see your guys's off-road brand progress the way that it has. And as me as a moto fan and me as a racing fan and all that stuff, I can't thank you guys enough for getting into the sport when there's a ton of teams and manufacturers and all these people that are getting out of it. You know, like to see you guys come into it and putting stuff into it and adding more riding spots and all that stuff and riders and everything. It's just super cool to see. I can't thank you guys enough for doing that. It means a lot.
I think it's a great time for the sport. You know, I mean, it's not just us. Obviously, you know, Beta's launching their MX range. Obviously the Ducati's coming next year as well. There'll be an MXGP next year, full-time Supercross the year after, I think. So as a time for consumers to be able to choose, and you know, products out there, and like you say, new jobs coming into the sport. You know, new manufacturers means new teams, means new mechanic positions, means rider spots, means it just generally means investment going in, which can only be a good thing, because more investment going in drives hopefully more customers as well, and gives it some longevity for us all. You know, everyone asks me, because obviously us being over here, we don't get to see Supercross in the same way that you guys do over there. And what a show for people to go and see at the end of the day, you know. So more people coming into it, more people investing in the sport can only be a good thing for it to help it grow and see a healthy future for it as well.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Ian, I think we'll call it there. You know, I'll let you get to bed and let you get to all the other stuff that you're going to have to do. Are you going anywhere, doing anything for Christmas? Staying at home?
At home with my kids. So I've got two small boys. So let's face it, it's going to be full gas, wide open the whole time. They're only young, so the magic of Christmas is still live and well in our household, which is good. See my folks, you know, just chill out and try. I mean, I would say I'd try and have some time off, but let's face it, A1's on the 10th of January, so there'll be a few things going on.
I was gonna say you better enjoy it, because it goes quick, man, and it's all of a sudden is here, and hopefully you don't have any delays. But thank you for joining me. Thank you for being on this. I mean, I know you and I, like I said,
thank you for having me.
You're welcome. But we joke that like, oh, it took forever, but it had to have been. It just worked out, and it's hard. It's not easy to do this stuff sometimes. So, you know, I appreciate your time a lot. It really means a lot to me. So thank you.
No worries, man. No worries. You take care, and I'll see you in Anaheim.
Yeah, see you in Anaheim. Thanks, man.